Is there some way we get that turned off? Hey, Dan?
Through the Lithuanian Embassy at DC. It was a night that happened in July 9th in 2024. I can remember this night like it was yesterday. Around 11:15 at night, I received a telephone call from Chief Murphy informing me that there was a shooting on Pacific Avenue around 10:30 at night. It was a female victim. She was identified as a 20-year-old of Lithuania. She was taken up to Atlantic Regional Medical Center. With the quick response that we had from our first responders, both in police and in fire, there's a success to the story. So with the quick response and the great job that both the police and the fire departments did, we also received an honor from the Lithuanian Embassy, basically to talk about it. So I'd ask Chief Murphy if he could talk a little bit about the certificates.
Thanks, Commissioner. Thanks, Mayor. Commissioner McConnell, thank you very much for having us here tonight. It goes without saying, tragic event, right, within the city, which we take personally. But through a coordinated effort between police and fire, the best possible outcome came out that night. Bill is doing well. We get a lot of updates from Mr. Lynch through his relationship with her and the Lunch with Lynch Foundation. So we're extremely happy. She's back in Lithuania. Obviously, once we heard word from the embassy and the ambassador to the United States of America, it was an honor for us to receive such a notification. And all the officers that you see behind me, some are unfortunately deployed right now. They're out on calls and working cases. They couldn't be here right now, but they did a tremendous job that night. It was a difficult night, yard-to-yard searches throughout the city. But they stood up and they brought the fight to the bad guy, eventually taking him into custody a day or two later once we kind of tracked him down. So I think it's a kudos to the city for the support you give us for the police department. Obviously, that's a tough time of year for us in July. We do not like to see that in our bar district, but the best possible outcome did occur, and I think that's a tribute to the fire department and the police department, the professionalism they display every night, every day that they're out there. So I think the ambassador got it correct. When he sent these letters down to all the officers, he took the time to write into each individual officer. So I think that says a lot. So congratulations to all of you, and it's well deserved.
I'd just like to reiterate what Chief Murphy said. It's not every day that you get a letter of thank you from an embassy. Again, the coordination, the work effort that we have with the PD is second to none, and that is what takes a tragic situation and allows you to have a successful outcome. That night, it's, they always say, being in the right place at the right time. These guys were clearing a call North Wildwood, and literally we're a block away when the call went out, and didn't hesitate to respond to the location. Typically, in today's world, the hostile environments, they want you to kind of stand back, make sure PD has the scene safe. These guys sprung into action, and I believe as a result of their heroic actions, they turned out to be life-saving actions. And it's a very unfortunate, the incident, we all have children, or most of us have children, so immediately I kind of thought to myself, like, man, what if that was my daughter who was 20 at the time and was over in a foreign country? I would be devastated. But knowing the hands that they were in, if I knew that they were in the same hands over there, I'd feel a whole hell of a lot better. So you guys exemplify what we're all about, the culture that the Wildwood Fire Department represents, and the deputy and I cannot be more appreciative and honored to represent such fine individuals as yourself.
First and foremost, Deputy Chief Matthew Cecilia. Captain Christopher Carvelis. Lieutenant Sean Toffoli. Lieutenant Donald Boyce.
Captain Ryan Triano. Firefighter Derek Kobrowski.
I could just say one more thing. The totality of the case, obviously, the magnitude of it, brought in other outside agencies. The Cape County Regional SWAT Team was a resource that was deployed during the ongoing investigation. So we wanted to thank them, as well as the Cape County Prosecutor's Office Major Crimes Unit, the Crime Scene Unit. They obviously came over and were a great big help to us during the investigation, and we couldn't do it without them. So I just wanted to publicly say thank you to them.
John Lynch, you played a great part of this, getting everything together. It's vital, you keep communication. Can you please explain to the crowd and everybody here, the police officers and the firemen, as to where she stands today and what's going on?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
The first thing I'd like to say is that we 100% live in the greatest place in the entire world. What you guys do for our community as a whole, from the governing board to the citizens of our communities, to the men and women that serve in our community. And I've been proud to be able to be a part of both of you guys, and what both you men and women are just how great you are and all the great things that you do for this community. Vilté is a story of miracles. And Wildwood is a miracle. Wildwood is just it is just such a great place to call home. Every day's got, like, those of us that live here and work here really see the miracle of what it is. But this was crazy. This is a 20-year-old young woman from Lithuania, a J1 student that hadn't lived on this island not even a week yet, standing in line on Pacific Avenue, and is part of a tragic, accident, is like we like to call it. The miracle was the fact that you guys just dropped what you're doing and do what you're trained to do, and you went and you took and you controlled where the shooting happened. Normally, you secure what you do so that these guys can come. But you know what these guys did? They didn't. They heard a girl was shot, and they went right to the scene before it was secured. It's just what we do, right? So the first miracle was you guys were able to stop that lady, for that young lady. You had to transport her to the hospital. She gets to the hospital. The doctor on call is a Saturday night. The doctor on call, it could have been anybody. It was the neurosurgeon. The neurosurgeon said, I have a daughter your age, we're going to save your life. There was a Lithuanian cancer doctor that is part of Atlanta Care. They called her, she held Vilté's hand from the time she got shot until her mother arrived. Can you imagine? Parents, like, you get that phone call, you sent your kid to another country, and you get that phone call. So Vilté's mother, Lena, and her grandmother, Grazina, they got on an airplane. On what day was the shooting? Ninth. They stayed at her side until November 6th, when she got to go home. Had no idea what her outcome was. We didn't know if she'd walk, we didn't know if she'd talk, they knew nothing. Our thought was they're going to be here for almost 2 years. So we immediately, Denise at Maury's and the Maury's team said, hey, would you jump in and help us? We want to do a GoFundMe. We did a GoFundMe that raised over $104,000 to help her and her family. Vilté is a fighter. Vilté, if you translate her name into English, it's hope. And Vilté is hope. And we watched her every day just get a little bit better and get a little bit better and get a little better, to the point that she was able to go home. So, the kind of synopsis of her, but this is what she asked me to say to you. I speak to her pretty much 2 or 3 times a week, either FaceTime, messages, her mom, her grandmother, other members of her family. They're so appreciative of the men and women of the Wildwood first responders teams. All right. Ryan went up and met Vilté at one point. You and who else went with you? You and Ryan. And she saw this thing that we care. She's going to get to see this video tonight and see that we care. So Vilté just says thank you. She thanks you for putting her life ahead of yours. She thanks you for the support and the love that the community has given. You know, we want to thank the Lithuanian people. The GoFundMe, I'm going to say probably 80% of the GoFundMe came from American Lithuanian families. So it is amazing. So I can tell you, she walks. She can walk for about an hour with no problem at all. Her arm has been paralyzed, but now their focus on it, and she's able to move her arm. So they eventually think her arm's going to be okay. And then her last thing is her speech. And since I'm such a good talker, I make sure I talk to her as much as I can to help her with that. So I would just like to say thank you so much for what y'all do, you know, for us in this community and to honor our men and women. So we live in those colors right there, red, white, and blue. Right? It's what it's all about. So God bless America. Thank y'all. Know that you have the love of Lithuania, and you probably have a little extra love now once they get to see you guys and when we get this over there, this video over Lithuania. So how about Catherine, we just say God bless America. Ready? 1, 2, 3. God bless America. God bless America.